On a sunny May day, I took my boyfriend Ethan on a road trip with my entire family. Ethan and I had been dating for 3 years, and this was the first time I brought him to meet my parents.
Ethan, how old are you this year? Which school did you graduate from? Who do you have in your family?
My parents bombarded Ethan with questions, almost asking for his ID number. Ethan answered my parents' questions while driving attentively. He is handsome, comes from a well-off family, graduated from a prestigious university, and is now an executive in a company. From the rearview mirror, I saw my parents nodding frequently with satisfied expressions, and I breathed a sigh of relief.
All right, Mom and Dad, don't scare him away with all these questions.
Her words broke the serious atmosphere in the car. My parents tapped her head and smiled helplessly. Emily is a senior in college, about to graduate, and she asked Ethan a lot of questions in her chirpy manner. I have a habit of getting sleepy as soon as I get in the car. The sleepiness I had been fighting off suddenly overwhelmed me. I dozed off in a daze. I don't know how long I slept, but I vaguely heard someone say,
Michael, look at how my sister is sleeping like a log.
I opened my eyes to see the sky was a grayish blue. We had arrived at the hotel.
Did I sleep for a long time?
Bella, you were exhausted last night.
Ethan suddenly leaned over, startling me. Click, the seatbelt unfastened, and I saw the smile in his eyes. Without looking in the mirror, I could guess how red my face was. I lightly punched him. Bang! Unexpectedly, the car door slammed shut. Emily walked into the hotel without looking back. I was left bewildered. Ethan held Bella's hand as they walked into the hotel lobby. They had booked 3 rooms, all on the same floor. As soon as they stepped out of the elevator, Emily grabbed Bella's arm, her voice sweet.
Sophia, it's been so long since we slept together. I have so much to tell you. Can we sleep together tonight?
Feeling awkward about sharing a room with Ethan in front of her parents, Bella saw her parents' eyes fall on her and nodded.
Okay.
Bella looked up to see Ethan staring at her silently, leaning back slightly with an unreadable smile on his lips. He closed the door in front of her, sending a chill down her spine. She followed Emily into another room, her mind blank for a moment. Bella picked up her phone and sent a message to Ethan.
10 minutes and 53 seconds.
Confused, Bella sent a question mark.
It took you exactly 10 minutes and 53 seconds to message me.
Just reading his message, Bella could feel Ethan's grievance. She patiently comforted him. Emily came out of the bathroom and sat beside Bella, watching her text without blinking. Bella turned off the screen and looked at her. A fleeting emotion crossed Emily's eyes.
Sophia, we're girls. We need to respect ourselves and not be too casual.
We're a normal couple. What's the problem?
Sensing Bella's displeasure, Emily affectionately hugged her arm and leaned closer.
Sophia, don't be mad at me. I'm just worried about you. Nowadays, many people don't cherish what they have once they get it.
Bella turned and went into the bathroom.
Sophia, come here.
Emily lifted the blanket and patted the spot next to her. Bella smiled, turning off the light. Emily held her hand and talked about childhood memories and worries about job prospects after graduation. Eventually, Emily started asking about Ethan and Bella.
Sophia, how did you and Ethan meet? What does he like about you?
At first, Bella answered patiently, but as she grew sleepy, she replied perfunctorily.
Ask him yourself tomorrow.
The next morning, following their schedule, they were set to go hiking. Bella quickly threw on a windbreaker and packed some essentials into her bag, getting ready in no time. After waiting for a while, even Mary and John had come to urge them a few times. Emily finally emerged from the bathroom.
Emily, wearing that for hiking isn't very practical.
What do you know? I need to look good for the photos.
Emily shot Bella a glance. She was wearing a JK uniform that perfectly showcased her figure, complete with full makeup. Bella kept quiet.
Bella, we're ready to go.
Bella was about to call Emily, but she swept past her like a gust of wind, opening the door first.
Michael, do I look good today?
Emily swayed slightly from side to side, her eyes sparkling as she looked at Ethan. Ethan took a couple of steps back, looked past Emily, and met Bella's eyes with a raised eyebrow.
Bella, we're matching today.
The windbreaker was something he had prepared. Emily turned to Bella, grinning.
Sophia, Michael looks better in it than you do.
My Bella looks the best.
Ethan beckoned to Bella, and she took his hand without hesitation. They walked ahead, with Emily and Bella's parents following behind. Mary advised Emily to change her outfit.
Emily, maybe you should change into something more practical.
I said I'm not changing, so stop nagging.
There were quite a few hikers, but hardly anyone dressed like Emily. Many passers-by cast curious glances at her. On the way up the mountain, Emily said her outfit wasn't suitable for carrying a backpack, so all her things were in Sophia's backpack.
Sophia, can you pass me the water? Now, can I have tissues to wipe my sweat? And some sunscreen, please?
The sun was fully up, shining brightly, and Emily's constant calls were making Sophia's head throb. Sophia didn't notice Emily calling at one point. Turning her head, she heard Emily whining to Michael.
Michael, is Sophia annoyed with me? She won't even respond.
Sophia, how can you ignore your sister?
Is this how you act as a sister?
Sophia was stunned, almost thinking she had committed some grave mistake. Just as she was about to explain, Ethan squeezed her hand, his tone casual yet firm.
You know you're being annoying, right?
But all my things are with her. I didn't want to bother Sophia.
Is that so?
Ethan took Sophia's bag and removed her things from it. A fleeting look of triumph crossed Emily's face.
Anything else?
I shook my head.
Ethan tossed the bag into Emily's arms, his voice carrying a hint of menace.
Don't you have hands? Carry your own stuff.
Emily's face turned pale for a moment. Ethan put Sophia's things into his bag, took her hand, and walked away, leaving behind 3 people, red-faced with anger. Without Emily constantly calling out Sophia, our pace quickened significantly. Before long, we reached the summit. The expansive and magnificent view from the top instantly made me forget the earlier unpleasantness.
Sophia, can you take a picture of me?
Emily's soft voice came from behind. Emily had always been like this, using requests for help as a way to make peace. I sighed and took the camera. Emily kept changing poses, trying her best to look perfect.
Is it done?
Oh, come on, Sophia, take a few more. I want to choose the best one.
Michael, let's take a picture together.
I don't like taking pictures.
I had never posted a photo with Ethan on social media, so Emily quickly accepted his words. Emily was a bit upset, pouting.
All right then.
Mary and John saw this and stepped forward to take pictures with Emily. After a while, Ethan suddenly said,
Emily, take a few pictures of me and Sophia.
Before Emily could respond, Ethan pulled me close and started posing. Ethan kissed, hugged, and even lifted me onto his shoulders. Emily's face turned green, but Ethan seemed oblivious.
Take more. I want to choose the best one.
By the end, my face was stiff from smiling, but Ethan was thoroughly enjoying himself.
Michael, are you still upset about earlier because you won't take a picture with me? I already apologized to Sophia, and she forgave me.
I was speechless. Was this what she considered an apology? Emily's voice quivered with tears.
Yes, Ethan, Emily didn't mean any harm. Our Emily is so beautiful. She has many admirers.
Michael, is it because Sophia doesn't agree that you won't take a picture with me?
Sophia, how many times have I told you to be generous? Why do you always do these petty things?
People on the mountaintop started glancing our way, and my face turned red. Ethan pulled me behind him, his tone firm.
I belong to Sophia. The more possessive she is, the happier I am. Uncle, would you be okay with Aunt Mary taking pictures with other men?
John was at a loss for words. On the way down the mountain, Emily sidled up to me and cautiously asked,
Is Michael still mad at me?
I suddenly realized that Emily's attention towards Ethan seemed to have crossed a line. I sternly reminded her.
Emily, Ethan is your brother-in-law. Mind your boundaries.
I'm just testing your boyfriend for you, don't you get it?
I had never asked her to do that, and I was a bit angry.
I don't need it.
Are you afraid he might actually fall for me?
I frowned slightly. Could she really be interested in Ethan?
My dress!
Mary and John rushed over, worried. Emily was clutching the side of her dress, standing still. I had no idea how it happened, but her dress was torn.
What are you standing there for? Take off your clothes and give them to your sister.
Emily's dress was very short, and now that it was torn, it was even more revealing.
It's easy to get scratched on the mountain. I don't want Sophia's clothes. I'd feel guilty if she got hurt. Michael's clothes are longer, I'll use his.
Ethan's slightly furrowed brows tightened further.
I have a thing about cleanliness. I don't like my clothes to have someone else's scent.
I'll wash them clean for you.
Ethan hooked his arm around my neck and said to me,
How can someone be so clueless, not understanding the implications of others' words?
His voice was just loud enough for everyone to hear. Emily awkwardly turned her gaze to me.
Sophia.
I pretended not to see and continued chatting with Ethan.
Emma, let's not ask her. Mary took out a colorful shawl from her bag and draped it over Emily.
Emily usually despised such tacky things, but now she had no choice but to wear it. The pure and innocent vibe she usually had was instantly ruined, making her look quite out of place. She quieted down and stopped causing trouble, but it was only temporary. Emily's antics were far from over.
Look at how my sister is sleeping like a log.
I opened my eyes to see the sky was a grayish blue. We had arrived at the hotel.
Did I sleep for a long time?
Bella, you were exhausted last night.
Ethan suddenly leaned over, startling me. Click, the seatbelt unfastened, and I saw the smile in his eyes. Without looking in the mirror, I could guess how red my face was. I lightly punched him. Bang, unexpectedly, the car door slammed shut. Emily walked into the hotel without looking back. I was left bewildered.
Have you no conscience? Your sister is hurt, and you're still talking nonsense.
The curious and disdainful glances from passers-by felt like countless tiny needles, pricking me all over and making my skin crawl. I couldn't remember how many times this had happened. Because of Emily, I was always pushed to the judgment stand by my parents. Their scolding and belittling often ground my dignity into the dirt. I would always blush, lower my head, and listen quietly, hoping time would pass quickly. My inferiority complex followed me into college. I liked David but didn't even have the courage to express my feelings. Until I met Ethan. The third time I received a call from Emily and tried to leave in the middle of a date, he grabbed my hand and told me firmly,
Sophia, you need to put yourself first.
My mind exploded at that moment. My parents had always instilled in me that Emily is the most important. The 3 years I spent with Ethan helped me gradually find myself. He made me understand that to love others, you must first love yourself.
Dad, this is a public place. You can't shout here. Of course, if you don't mind being laughed at, you can continue.
He finally noticed the pointing and whispering, and some onlookers even had their phones out, recording us. Mary tugged at his sleeve, and he fell silent, his face turning blue with suppressed anger. As the crowd saw the conflict dying down, they began to disperse. Emily leaned on Mary, looking innocent despite her injury. Every time I was scolded because of her, the blame never touched her. But why should it?
My sister is hurt and can't walk. Is there anyone willing to be a hero and carry her down the mountain?
Emily's pupils widened in disbelief.
Sophia, you!
Sophia, what are you doing?
Emily needs someone to carry her, so I'm finding someone for her.
Isn't Ethan here?
I tilted my head and smiled, then pretended to stumble.
Not possible. I can't walk either. Who should he carry?
Bella, I'll carry you.
John was speechless. Then, a few men from the crowd stepped forward, offering to carry Emily. They were all burly, some even as old as my father. Emily naturally refused, her face pale as she shook her head. The men, embarrassed by her public rejection, spat at her.
Ugh, what a fake.
It was the first time Emily had been insulted to her face, and her lips turned colorless. To save face, she tearfully said,
It's okay, I can walk by myself.
Bella turned to see Mary supporting Emily, who was struggling to walk forward. Emily shot Bella a fierce, malicious look.
Tired? How about I get down and you take a rest?
Bella, are you doubting my stamina?
Bella laughed in exasperation. Ethan sighed softly.
Bella, you finally smiled.
I want to end this vacation.
Ethan had planned this trip for a long time, just to make Bella's family happy.
All right.
Bella reached out and pinched his ear. Back at the hotel, she moved her things to Ethan's room. After Mary and John took Emily to her room, Bella spoke directly.
I plan to end this trip. The hotel is booked for 3 days. You can stay or leave as you wish.
Why? We agreed to spend 3 days together. Sophia, we don't get many chances to travel as a family. Don't you want to spend more time with us?
You just want to spend more time with Ethan, don't you?
Watch your mouth! Just because your thoughts are dirty doesn't mean everyone else's are.
With no outsiders around, John immediately regained his authority. Bella glanced at the crestfallen Emily.
I'm not here to negotiate.
Exhausted from the day's events, Ethan and Bella decided to leave early the next morning. A while later, Mary and John knocked on Bella's door. Ethan tactfully left the room. They looked serious, and John spoke first.
Emma likes Ethan.
Bella was quite surprised. Had Emily confessed everything so quickly?
Since you already know, you should let Ethan go to Emma.
What did you say?
If Emma didn't really like Ethan, we wouldn't have come to you. Mary knows you've always given in to your sister. Can you do it this time too?
Sophia, you always cared for your sister. Please do it this one last time.
Are you kidding me? You said it yourself, that was when we were kids. Should I give up everything? Is Emily a beggar?
Bella knew her parents always favored Emily, but she never imagined they would go to such extremes.
Giving up toys and snacks as a child was one thing, but giving up my boyfriend?
Sophia, how many times have I told you to be good to Emma?
Bella could never understand why her parents were so cruel to her. A wave of indescribable bitterness washed over her, and her voice trembled.
Why? Am I not your biological daughter?
There's no need for so many questions. If you still want to be part of this family, give Ethan to Emma.
Tears welled up in Bella's eyes, but she looked up, forcing them back.
Fine.
Then go tell Ethan right away.
I mean, I don't want this family anymore.
You ungrateful brat! How dare you!
John was so angry his face twisted, and he raised his hand to strike Bella. Ethan intercepted his hand midair. Ethan had trained in Muay Thai since childhood. John was no match for him.
Let go.
Ethan only released him when Bella nodded. John, losing his balance, fell to the ground. He pointed at Ethan and Bella, cursing them out. When her parents left, they continued to hurl insults. I clung tightly to Ethan, tears streaming down my face, soaking his shoulder. He didn't say a word, just gently patted my back, silently comforting me.
Sometimes I really doubt if I'm their biological child.
Since I was young, I suspected I wasn't my parents' biological child. In college, the first thing I did after earning my first paycheck was to get a DNA test with my parents. But the result was unexpected. I was indeed their biological child. I was even more confused. If I was their biological child, why did they treat me so harshly? However, the question that had troubled me for years soon found an answer. That night, just a few hours after my parents called me over, Emily came to find me.
Do you want to know why our parents favor me?
This question had haunted me like a curse. I admitted, I really wanted to know. I followed Emily to her room. She didn't beat around the bush and got straight to the point.
I like Ethan. Give him to me.
I was amused by her audacity.
Why should I?
Because you owe me.
I was baffled. When did I ever owe her? She told me a story.
When you were 3, you had a high fever. Dad switched shifts with someone to take you to the hospital. It was a rainy day. The man who took Dad's shift was hit by a speeding truck and died. The man's wife ran away, leaving behind a baby girl. Out of guilt, our parents took the girl in and raised her. That girl was me.
So to compensate you, our parents made me give in to you in everything and prioritized you in all matters? I was just a child back then. Why should I bear all this responsibility?
Because of you, I lost my family. You have to give me Ethan.
It was the truck driver who caused your father's accident. Why don't you ask him for compensation? My parents chose to spoil you and love you. Why should I let you have your way? You want a family, right? Fine, I'll give you our parents. I wish you 3 a happy life together, forever.
Emily's innocent face twisted with anger at my words. The car stopped in front of the hotel, and Michael glanced at Bella's sleeping form.
Look at how my sister is sleeping like a log.
Bella opened her eyes to see the sky was a grayish blue. They had arrived at the hotel.
Did I sleep for a long time?
Bella, you were exhausted last night.
Ethan suddenly leaned over, startling Bella. The seatbelt unfastened with a click, and Bella saw the smile in his eyes.
Without looking in the mirror, I could guess how red my face was.
Bella lightly punched Ethan. Unexpectedly, the car door slammed shut. Emily walked into the hotel without looking back. Bella was left bewildered. Michael glanced over at Bella, who was still sound asleep.
Ethan, look at how my sister is sleeping like a log.
Bella slowly opened her eyes, seeing the sky's grayish-blue hue as they arrived at the hotel.
Did I sleep for a long time?
Bella, you were exhausted last night.
Ethan leaned over suddenly, startling Bella. The seatbelt clicked open, and Bella saw the smile in Ethan's eyes. Without looking in the mirror, Bella could guess how red her face was. She lightly punched him. Bang, the car door unexpectedly slammed shut. Emily walked into the hotel without looking back, leaving Bella bewildered. On the way back, I received a call from my parents. They said my sister had attempted something drastic. We had left early without informing them. When they found out we were gone, they called me in a panic. When we arrived at the hospital, my parents were sitting outside the emergency room, looking despondent. Seeing me, my father started yelling.
Sophia, how could you be so heartless? Abandoning your parents and sister for a man?
It was you who abandoned me.
That was just us speaking out of anger. How could you take it seriously?
My mother looked up at me, her face weary. I hesitated but then took her hand.
You and Emma are both our children. We can't lose either of you.
Listen to your mother. Just let Ethan go to Emma.
Mom, stop. I will never agree to that.
Your sister was willing to go to such lengths for him. Why can't you just let go?
If you have debts to repay, that's your problem, not mine.
My father, seeing my confirmation, became even more agitated.
All of this is because of you. Emma lost her home because of you. You owe her.
Emily lost her home because of you. If you hadn't switched shifts with her father, he wouldn't have died.
My father's face turned ashen, his eyes vacant, pulling at his hair. In truth, my father always felt guilty about Emily's father's death, unable to bear the burden. So, he shifted all the blame onto me, making me bear everything. When I confronted him, he broke down completely. Emily wasn't in serious danger. She had avoided any major harm but needed to recover from blood loss.
Why are you here?
Emily woke up, looking around the room, finding only me.
You haven't changed a bit.
As a child, when Emily couldn't get what she wanted, she would hurt herself to gain sympathy and get what she desired. Now grown up, her tactics hadn't improved much.
Emily, stop being childish. You might have managed to win David, but you can't take Ethan.
In her senior year of high school, Emily's math struggles became a family issue. David, a top student in the math department, was a good friend of mine, so I asked him to tutor Emily. Over time, her grades improved significantly. But David grew distant from me. When I was about to confess my feelings, he told me he liked Emily. Looking back, it was all Emily's doing.
You owe me. You don't deserve anything.
Emily stared at me obsessively. In her mind, she believed I had ruined her family. She spent her early years competing with me. I suddenly felt a deep pity for her. Before leaving, Bella handed Mary a card.
From now on, I'll send your support money to this card regularly.
Mary's eyes filled with deep sorrow. She opened her mouth but said nothing. Bella knew the best outcome for them was to never see each other again. Later, Bella heard that Emily was almost severely injured. Emily's post quickly sparked considerable discussion online. People came forward, claiming Emily had once tried to steal their boyfriends, sharing a series of incriminating messages. They contacted each other privately, found out which hospital Emily was in, barged in, and started attacking her.
Help! Someone, please help!
Emily ran everywhere, using her parents as shields. Fortunately, security guards managed to control the situation. Emily's hair was pulled out in patches, and she suffered various injuries. Her parents were also caught in the chaos and got hurt. Bella saw all this online.
How could you do this, Emily?
At the end of the video, John gave Emily a hard slap. For whatever reason, Bella's parents truly treated Emily like their own daughter. But when danger came, Emily only cared about herself, pushing them out to bear the brunt. Emily's scandal caused quite a stir, and netizens reported her misconduct to her school, leading to her degree being revoked. Now, she really had to worry about her job prospects. Bella's parents kept trying to reconnect with her, but she ignored them, except for sending the support money on time. They held on to hope, thinking she wouldn't be so heartless. Until they heard from relatives that Bella's wedding had just taken place the day before. Only then did they fully realize that she would never forgive them. Every year on Bella's birthday, her parents would send her birthday wishes. But unfortunately, she no longer cared for their belated affection.
Alice, where should we celebrate your birthday this year? Let's go to Hawaii.
Because now, someone was holding their heart out to love her,